Hello to all of you fellow automators. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the computer controller plugin for Hubitat. I'm not going to touch too much on installation, just a few words. If you need more you can look at the tutorial. I'm going to add a link in the description. So before you begin you need to install EventGhost on your PC. Then you need to install the included plugin for EventGhost. Then you need to install the app on the Hubitat. And also you need to do few more things. You need to make sure that your computer, your PC have a static IP. This can be done in the Windows properties or in your router. And you want to enable wake up on LAN. It's not mandatory, but this will add further functionality. For instance, if you have an automation that's supposed to run off the computer and the computer is turned off, you can set it to turn on and then run the automation. So it's quite handy. So that requires a little extra configuration in the computer side. All of it is, there is links to all of that in the tutorial on the post in the Hubitat community, which will be linked in the video description. So after you installed all of that, you have the app in the Hubitat here on the left, and you have the EventGhost on the right. So in the EventGhost, as you can see on the left, you have all your events. We will see how Hubitat can send events to the EventGhost. And on the right, you can set automations. Basically, they're called macros here. So first thing first, we need to add the plugin. This is after you already installed the plugin. So you right-click on your computer or anywhere basically, and then I see that we don't actually see this. I'm not an expert in streaming. Just one moment. So when we click on the add plugin, we have this box and we choose Hubitat and OK. And now we are asked port, username and password. Port you can put whatever you want. For now we will do 555. Username and password, you don't have to put your username and password, but it's recommended to have some extra security. For now we will call them user, and the password will be 1234. Of course it's better to put some more complex password than user. So now when we have it configured here, we want to configure it in the Hubitat app. So we do add device in the app. We give it a name. We give the address of the computer. So the computer have to have a static address, as I said before. You can find this address by going in the command prompt ipconfig and finding the address where the current adapter is. You can also Google how to find your local LAN address. You'll find many options. And here we put the port, which is just configured in the EventGhost. User and password was 1234. Done. So now we have the computer 2 connected. Now let's go to this device in the Hubitat, and I will give a brief explanation about everything here. So we will start with the methods. Connect, this is not really used, you don't really need to use it in any way. As you can see, it's connected right now to the event ghost, and it's automatically connects and disconnects. You don't need to do anything about that. Push, again, something that you won't use. It's coming because it is configured as a button, just so it will be usable in the rule machine, and it adds this push, but it's non-usable. Then you have send event. So here you can send whatever event data you want. So hello, let's say this will be the event. Write hello, and you can see immediately that in here in the event ghost we got the event. We have wake on LAN. This will wake up the computer if it's asleep. Wake up and send event, which basically will send the event if the computer is awake, and if not, it will wake up the computer, and when it woken up, it will send the event. And then you have here the last two on the top. The last three is add number parameter, add string parameter, and clear parameters. Basically, you can add parameters to your event that you're sending. So let's say I want to add the number 44, and I also want to add hi. So I added two parameters, and then I do send event, and you can see on the in here that I got a low with the two parameters. Next time I will send, it will come without the parameters, because every time you send an event, it clears all the parameters, and you also have a clear parameter method. We will see later how we can use it to create all kind of interesting automations. Now let's go over the preference really quickly. We have the IP address, the port, the username, and the password. MAC address. Normally it will just take the MAC address of the IP, but let's say you have your computer connected twice to the internet with two different adapters, then you can choose the MAC address of the right adapter. And also sometimes it just doesn't work for some reason, so you put the MAC address of your computer. If the secure on, if your LAN adapter supports it, you can add the password here. The port of the wake on LAN, by default it's 7. If it doesn't work, you can try 0 or 9 and see if it fixes the issue. Max wake up time. So basically we said that when you send a wake, like when you send here wake up and send event, then it waits for the computer to wake up and then it sends the event. If it crosses the limit of here 90 seconds, which means it takes more than 90 seconds for the since you click until the computer starts, it forgets the event that you sent. And reconnects attempts. Whenever it disconnects, how long does it take until it tries again? Here it's set for 1 second. So this is all the preference and the commands. So now let's set some automations. So let's start by setting an automation that will send some event to the computer, and the computer will do something. Let's say the computer will start an app, or let's say it will start so let's start an app. Just a moment. we'll not just have it starting an app, we'll also make it start playing music. Just a moment. Okay, so we start by adding a new macro, and we choose run application. So we're going to run the music player with the playlist that I want. So I'm using this music player, and I'm going to add the playlist that I want in the command options, and I can test it, execute. As you see, it started the music, but you cannot see the app because it's not configured on that, but it opened the app. So we have this macro that starts the app, the playlist that I like, and we're gonna give this name play music, and now we want that we're gonna do that when I press a button on a remote that I have, it will start playing the music. So first of all, we're gonna connect the event. So we call the event, let's say, play music, and we're gonna send it from here. So now we have the event here, and we're just gonna add it to the macro. So now whenever I click on send event, it runs that. Now we're gonna want to send this event when we press the button. So I'm gonna go to apps, gonna go to rule machine, and we're gonna start by calling it music. Gonna trigger it when I press the button. Doesn't matter. So I added a trigger that when I press this button, something will happen. Now I'm gonna add the action. So I want a custom action. So here it is, and run custom action. Then here, unfortunately, they don't let you have just a custom control, so I added, so it's configured as a button. So we're gonna choose a button, and now we're gonna choose the computer 2 that we configured, and we're gonna do send event. We're gonna have the parameters as a string because it's the name of the event, and here we're gonna call it like we called it before, play music. Done with this action, done with this action, and done with actions. So this is it. This is how when I press this switch, it will play the music. Now we're gonna see how we're gonna send we're gonna receive something from the EventGhost to Hubitat. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a macro that whenever I set a hotkey, something will happen. For instance, I will toggle one of my lights. So add another macro, and so we don't have a keyboard, so we need to add the plugin. We add the plugin, input devices, keyboard. There is some kind of bug here that it doesn't let you do OK unless you change something, so I just have to change one thing, and now I will do something. So like I will do Control Alt D, and I'm gonna drag this event to my new macro. And when I do this, I want to add an action. I'm gonna choose from here the actions in Hubitat, send command, and I give this command hotkey. I will call it hotkey 2 because I have hotkey 1 already. So now when I'm gonna click on that, I will receive the hotkey 2 at the Hubitat. So we can see it here if I go to my device, that whenever I click, now I will click this, and you can see here that command received hotkey 2. Now I can build a new rule on that. I'll call it hotkey 2, and we do that when so now we want to trigger when I receive the event from the event goes to Hubitat. So it will be custom attribute, because every time the event comes, there is an attribute that is changes, that it's called received command. Then I need to select device, computer, the attribute. So received commands, as you can see, I can receive parameters as well. It's automatic, by the way, but this command specifically doesn't have any parameters. So received command, and when it equals to hotkey 2. Done with triggers, and now I can add whatever I want. So I'm gonna just toggle something. It will be this light, and you cannot see it, but now whenever I press Ctrl Alt D, it toggles one of my lights. So now we're gonna do one more thing. We're gonna look at parameters. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change the light brightness according to the volume of the sound volume of the computer. So I have a volume wheel on my keyboard, and when I change it, you can see in the event ghost that it sends an event with volume. So I'm going to create a new macro. And to this macro, I'm going to add one of these events, system volume, and I'm going to send this to Hubitat, and I will call it vol. So now let's go to the device and see what happens. So when I change it, you can see here that the command received is vol, and we have received num param 1, and this is the parameter. Num is for numeric, so I received the numeric parameter with the correct volume. So now I'm gonna set a new rule that will change one of the bulb's brightness to this value. So I'm gonna go to the rule machine again. We'll call it volume, and it's gonna be triggered whenever. But before I'm gonna set the trigger. For this we will need a local variable that will keep the volume that we get from event ghost, and then we're gonna put this variable on the lamp. So new variable, we call it volume vol, and it's gonna be a number. we'll give it 100 as the default. Done. Now whenever, and this again like before, we want to receive the custom attribute change, and the received command this time equals to vol, because this was the name of the command. You can see it here. So whenever we receive a command with the name vol, we want to first set the parameter vol calls by the same name, but it's a different thing. We're going to set it to the parameter that we receive. So here we have set mode variable, blah, blah, blah. So we want to set a variable. We choose the one that we wanted, not number but device attribute, and we're gonna take it from here, and we're gonna choose numeric param1. It's only show us the numeric param because this vol is type of numeric. So basically we are setting the variable vol to the value of the device attribute, which is the param1, which is what we just got, which is the volume. So this was the first action that we do. Now this next action would be to set the lamp brightness to this vol. So we're gonna set a light, and let's see, set dimmer level, off center, and we want it to be a variable and vol. Done action. So let's see what's happened here. So whenever computer receive vol, then we get the actual volume, and we're gonna set it on the dim of the light. And now whenever I change the volume on my computer, the light brightness changes as well. So the last thing we want is to send parameters from Hubitat with a command to EventGhost. So how do we do that? We create a new role. We call it test. And whenever something is triggered, we're not gonna do something that is actually gonna change. We're just gonna send something. So let's say I have a motion sensor here with a battery. So when it's changed, this will be the trigger, and what are we gonna run? You can set it to whatever trigger you want. So now what we want is to send a, so first of all we want to set, we want a variable, we call it level. It's gonna be a numeric. So first of all we're gonna set this variable to device attribute. We're gonna choose this kitchen motion detector, and we're gonna get the battery level. So we're gonna save the battery level to the level variable. This is the first action, and now we want to send it to the event ghost. So we're gonna run a custom command. And this time it will be add number param, number, we want it to be a variable, and we're gonna send level. So basically what we are doing now is we are running the command add number param. So we're gonna add a parameter, and the number that we are using is the value of the variable that we created, level, in which we first, as you can see on top, we set the kitchen battery to this level. Right now it's 100, so it's gonna send this 100 to the event ghost. So we added a parameter, and now we want to send some event as well. So run command. By the way, you can always say wake up and send event, and then it will wake up the computer if it's not awake, and then send the event. So we're gonna choose that. And a number, no, sorry, string. This will be the name of the event. Call it event. Oh, let's call it something. Kitchen battery change. Done. Done with this action. Done. So there you have it. Now whenever the battery level will change of the kitchen motion, it will send an event to event ghost with a new level, and yeah, there is no way to test it, too bad. And then you can create a new macro that handles this event and receives the parameter. So there you have it. This is how you use the plugin. I hope you enjoy. There is so many things and cool stuff that you can do with this. So I really hope you will enjoy this plugin.